This is a film that I am very proud of because it's completely unlike anything else that we've done before.
One thing that was very enticing to me about this project is that we decided that it was just going to be the three of us. Myself behind the camera, Zach behind the camera, Ethan in front of the camera. We were gonna take a camera and some gear out into the desert, get an Airbnb, and for a weekend just make a film. It felt like we were getting back to our roots, truly.
It became clear very quickly that this is gonna be a project that was visually oriented, which is something that is, attractive for all of us.
So we did a lot of scouting around LA. Luckily, there's a desert not too far from LA, and we landed on Joshua Tree.
Joshua Tree, what a fantastic filming location that was. A couple challenges that came out of it, however, was first of all getting there. All of the locations that we shot at were incredibly remote, which sort of bring about their own challenges.
All right, well, we're shooting The Warrior, the Bride, and the Devil, the next project from SGP. We start shooting tomorrow. We are on our way to just outside of Joshua Tree, which is going to be our home base for the next 2 days. We have a really long day tomorrow, maybe an even longer day ahead of us on Sunday. Really excited. This is a very special project. We got it locked down. We're ready to go. On our way. 2.5 hours. We're going to do it, baby. Let's go.
So the first day, I remember waking up. Zach and I woke up a little bit later than Ethan, but still, I think around 5 a.m.
I had to get up 2.5 hours before we were supposed to head out so that I had enough time to cover my whole body in latex.
The scar wax is not technically supposed to be used in the exact way that we had, but it's kind of the best option. I made the best with what we could do. Definitely supplementing it with some blood and this little latex layer to do a whole sunburn type of thing. Let's do that one.
Yeah. Very involved process that took a lot of time, but it is all worth it.
All right, Saturday morning, about 5:40 in the morning. We're leaving in 20 minutes. Still pitch black outside. It's sounding really windy, which is a potential issue, but other than that, all things look good.
By the time we packed up the car and we were ready to leave, the wind had not subsided.
How are we feeling about the wind? I'm scared. I'm not gonna lie.
And by the time we got to our location, which was out even more in the open, Big Rock it was still whipping pretty hard and it was very cold.
The first thing that we did on day one was drive to Big Rock and figure out where we were gonna put our prisoner. We needed sort of the perfect sized rock, something that was big enough so the prisoner could lay back and have his arm attached to a chain that was connected to the ground, but it couldn't be too big to where it dwarfed the size of the prisoner. Ultimately, after a little bit of searching, maybe about a half an hour, we found the right rock for it.
I remember trying to set up the camera, trying to plan our first shots, and my hands were frozen. I was getting whipped around with dirt and gravel. The wind was whipping everything around that we were trying to set up. At least I had clothes on, so I didn't have it as bad as others.
Both Cam and Zach were lucky enough that they got to wear some clothes. I did not.
All right, how are we feeling?
Great. Really good. Really good.
Staying on that rock, chained on my back as the wind is just howling in every direction. There's one point where I was shivering so much that Cam just insisted that I throw on my robe for 5 minutes just so I could warm up because I genuinely couldn't keep myself still.
It felt like we were going off to battle to film this film.
But that's one of those things where you suffer through it because you know you're making something that's really cool and it's going to be worth it in the end.
For this particular project, it was really important that we storyboarded out exactly what we wanted to do. We knew that it was going to be almost, theatrical and operatic in the sense that our camera would be very stationary, at some points very removed from the action that was happening. And sort of the mantra that we were living by for this project was,
In fact, we kept repeating to ourselves,
We always said every
frame a painting, strong
images only.
We decided to steer away from naturalistic looks and we really wanted to go with something that was much more surreal with the intense red grade. We wanted to do visual effects to really push some of those scenic elements.
Luckily, by that afternoon, it did warm up, and that was a huge saving grace because we had to shoot the whole devil scene that afternoon.
Originally, when we thought of the story, we thought that it would be really interesting and really unique for Ethan to play every single character in the story. However, when the shoot date approached, it became clear that that was just not going to be super practical. And the one that was sort of the least practical was Ethan trying to play the devil. It made more sense for myself to get in the devil costume so that we could act alongside Ethan in those scenes and save us a lot of time, which is amazing because secretly I wanted to play the devil the entire time. The devil as a character is really interesting because there's an allure to the devil. It's like we are creating the devil itself. Oftentimes you have antagonists in a project where they are devilish or they are evil in a sense, but they're not necessarily evil incarnate.
Because it is such a strong and legendary character, if you will, that we knew that we had to get it right. And we thought a lot about its introduction, how it was going to look, how it was going to move, how it was going to portray power.
The robing that we had designed and the mask that Ethan had ended up finding fit perfectly for the vibe that we were going for the devil. One thing I will say that was really difficult with the devil was the mask that I had to wear.
The head mask for the devil was a purchase piece, but it wasn't technically a mask. We had to makeshift that in order to fit on Zach's head, even though it wasn't the most comfortable for him.
It was extremely heavy and it was hard to move around in. Furthermore, if I moved my head a certain way, the devil mask might just fall off entirely.
Even though the script was short, we still had a lot packed into, 8 or 9 pages. And because it was January, the sun set pretty early. We were shooting right next to a mountain. We were losing sun at about 4 p.m. We had to wrap by 4:30. We were able to get everything, and I think that we got some very, very visually striking images.
Day one was good. Day one was a little bit of a battle.
Yep.
More so than expected. We had to battle the elements, battle the cold. We had to battle the dust, the dirt, and specifically the wind. Hopefully everything that we got doesn't suck, but I give it a 50-50 chance.
So day 2 was quite the adventure.
All right, day 2. Hoping this one's a little bit warmer, a little bit more straightforward. Setting up the gear right now. It's about 5:45 in the morning. We gotta fully pack out of the Airbnb because we're checking out as soon as we leave, but we gotta catch the sunrise first.
We had to get up even earlier on this day.
Bye, Airbnb.
See you, buddy.
We had to get to our spot near Big Rock before sunrise so that Ethan could be coming over the ridge during sunrise.
Once we grabbed that, we had to ship up very quickly and drive about 2 hours south to Painted Canyon.
We have made it to Painted Canyon. It is 10 a.m. right now. Now we just have to kind of find the perfect spot. It's tough because we really only able to go off of Google Maps imaging. So it was really guesswork. Now that we're actually here, we gotta just find that little sweet spot. That's exactly what we need.
So we had to find the perfect canyon that would sort of contain the gatekeeper.
One of my favorite parts of the shooting process was definitely shooting the gatekeeper sequence, just because it really pushed my acting abilities.
John Hughes John, how's your day going? Trip, Warrior Bride and the Devil. And kind of the ant, but that's a different thing.
These ones are completely different from one another, which was a very, very fun test to push myself in new ways, especially with the gatekeeper having such like a predatory kind of animalistic physicality to him, where he kind of creeps and crawls and does all of this, and then contrasting that with the warrior is very stoic and statue-like. It was a very, very fun process. I wanted to do something that felt like this demonic prisoner that has now like come under the guise of the devil and is working for him. And then the gatekeeper's mask was made entirely out of styrofoam and then painted and glued together. And it looks phenomenal on camera. I'm so proud of the way that turned out.
We just wrapped up the warrior, and we just wrapped up the gatekeeper. We're down to just 2 shots left now.
2 shots left, 1 more location, 30 minutes away, 3rd location of the day. Good thing is it's actually warm out. This is the first time I've been warm all trip, so that's
I'm
good.
hot. I'm fucking sweaty. Of course it turns green.
It's green, it's green.
After we finished up at the Painted Canyon, we packed up the car once again and drove all the way to the Salton Sea.
That was a quick light.
Which is a giant saltwater lake in the middle of California.
We also decided pretty early on that Ethan was gonna play the female, because at that point, why not, right? And we put Ethan kind of at the top of this rock pile that overlooked the whole lake and through the sunset behind him, and I think it ends beautifully.
No, it went really good. I really don't know what to say right now. I'm excited to see it all.
Kids at a loss for words.
Yeah, I mean, just look at this little.
But honestly, it was just really good to get back in the saddle. This one was truly just an SGP project through and through. It was just us. We were out here, you know, really building everything up from our hands, from the ground up, which is really nice. So Ethan was a trooper. Ethan basically did every single costume, character, voice, everything for this entire project. So it was grueling.
It's a fun challenge.
I think this was, as you said it, the coldest you had ever gotten at one point in this.
I think so.
Also, you took your jacket off today, and I saw how sweaty your goddamn back was, and that was insane.
The whole thing was set in hell, and at times it felt like we went to hell when we were filming in hell. There were times where everybody was grumpy, there was times where everybody was happy, there was times where everybody was cold. Most of the time everybody was very cold, but it was fun. I think we got some cool stuff. I'm excited to throw it all together.
So this was an interesting project once we get to post-production, because the nature of the shots that we got and the type of story that we wanted to do, being very visually oriented, is that the edit came together a bit quicker than maybe previous projects. We just had the utmost confidence in the project as soon as we got the film back.
We quickly put the film together. There was a lot of VFX that were involved in that.
With the visual elements that we wanted to achieve with this film, we knew we wanted to achieve as much as possible in camera, but there's certain elements that add to the atmosphere of the setting that we just knew we weren't gonna be able to do practically. Examples of that are the crucifixion field that we do in some wider shots, some other kind of clean plate effects to just really build up the vibe of this hellish landscape and really make us feel like we're in hell. We also have the great fortune of having James Donahue back to create a truly otherworldly score for this film. Something that is epic and hellish and ominous and just an absolute blast to listen to.
My biggest takeaway from this project is I want to do more shoots or more projects like this where we are just as, if not more, visually oriented in our storytelling.
I think everything else we do, we always try to think what fits our identity. And this one, we kind of threw that philosophy out the window and we just wanted to do something that really didn't feel like us at all, just to see if we could do something new and fresh that excited us. It was also just such a blast to return to kind of that childhood form that we kind of built this love for movie making on. You know, 10 years ago, we were doing pretty much this exact same thing, going on a road trip with just us and a camera and just figuring things out and wanting to just make a movie by any means necessary. And it's really cool that 10 years later, we're still doing that exact same thing.
We basically conceived of this idea out of thin air, and we grabbed the three of us, drove off into the desert, battled the elements, and we battled, it seemed like, hellish conditions at times, which is ironic because of the story, but we overcame them all. I believe that we stuck the landing, and I honestly just had a blast just grabbing a camera and going out and making something just like we used to.